This video will show you exactly how to set goals using Reality Transurfing and how you can apply it so that you really start to get what you want in a very powerful way. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the goal setting process for that of Reality Transurfing. And I think it's a very powerful process that you can start to apply, and when you start to apply it, you're going to start to see things happen that have maybe never happened before. And that's simply because you've started to align your heart to that of your goals. You see, this is the biggest misconception when it comes to kind of like the law of attraction process of goal setting, is that people only set their goals on things that their mind wants. So the mind wants ego gratification. The mind wants a certain dollar amount. The mind wants a whole bunch of things for reasons that are that in a way kind of just accentuate the ego. Whereas when we start to live from a place of feeling and a place of passion, that's when we start to connect to our heart. And this can be the biggest game changer when it comes to you attracting what you want, because what you start to do is you start to more so look for the feeling than just the intellectual idea. I found that these two things go hand in hand. So a lot of times with, especially a lot of the earlier content on this channel, you'll see it's a lot about the intellectualism, like understanding the process and how to practically apply it, which can still be powerful. But the more down the rabbit hole I go, the more I realize it's less about the intellectual ideas and it's more about just the feeling. And if you can make the feeling a simple thing, like how do you feel in the process, then guess what? It becomes much more powerful, because even if you do like quote unquote work hard, which is something I also talked a lot about, and I talk a lot about it because just literally I've been rewarded for it. The more hard work I've taken, I've had better results. Now at the same time, I believe that that's a certain paradigm, and it's a very powerful paradigm. However, there's a paradigm even above that, and that's what I'm starting to understand, is this powerful part of alignment and of aligning with goals in a very powerful way. So just to give it basis, let me explain a little bit of Reality Transurfing in general so that you kind of have a basis for it, so that when I explain the goal setting process, you're like, oh yeah, I see what you mean. That makes sense. And it has to do with these couple ideas. Now, first off, if we simply set more intentions in our life, we will start to create more of what we want. I've been saying this a lot lately because it's so powerful. Set intentions. This means that you set outcomes almost for things that you desire to happen. And think of it like this. Reality Transurfing in general is similar to that of understanding parallel realities. And because the guy that wrote it, who is William Zealand, was and is a quantum physicist, it makes sense. So the idea is that there's an infinite number of parallel realities that exist, and that any one of these outcomes, anything that we can imagine, exists right now, simply at a different frequency or a different resonance. And what we can begin to do is, by changing ourselves in the present moment, we can begin to perceive of the ones that we want to experience. So think of it like this: the best possible version of yourself, of doing exactly what you want to be doing for a living, that exists right now in this moment. It's just you're not perceiving of it because you're not being that version of you. You're not embodying that authentic part of who you really are at the core fundamental soul level. So when we become aware of this, it's very empowering, because literally anything that you want to create in your life, if you believe you can do it, then you can actually achieve it. So that's empowering to know, first off, like right out of the bat, now I feel empowered to take action, or empowered just to set more intentions in my life, right? So the idea is anything you can imagine exists right now, and it's actually, there's an infinite number of frames of reality in the same way you might think of a movie strip. This is the easiest analogy I found. A movie strip analogy, or a film reel, you stretch out the film, you see different frames on that film strip, and of course all those frames exist right now in the present moment, but each one are separate frames based on just when the light is going through it and how they move through. So our brain, we have memory, so we're able to tag all of those frames together, but we know that they're also individual frames in there, just appearing to be different, separate, or appearing to be one fluid reality. In the same way, I go like this right now, it looks like one continuous motion, but if we were to break it down and I were to put this into editing software right now, you would see it go boom, 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 boom. We could even break it down to in each individual frame. So that's the idea of understanding parallel realities, and that we can start to resonate with what we want to experience, and when we do that, very powerful. Now, another part of reality transurfing is understanding something called pendulums. Now, this is important for the goal setting process as well. Pendulums are these thought structures that are created by the mass consensus and mass consciousness. So think of it like this. You may have certain beliefs about yourself. You may have certain beliefs about what it means to be maybe American or whatever nationality you are. You know, this is kind of what this means. This is the characteristics and the labels attributed to it. And guess what? There's also other people that have their ideas and maybe even very similar ideas about the same thing. Now, what happens is because we have similar beliefs and similar ideas, this creates kind of like a grid. Almost think of it like a grid around the planet of certain belief systems and of really just social conditioning. So social conditioning is something that's very powerful because a lot of times we think we're thinking our own thoughts when in reality we're thinking the thoughts of social conditioning. This is anytime you feel like you have to do a certain thing or you kind of feel a pull to say something or to do something and you don't know really where it came from. Well, think of it like this. Pendulums are around in every thought structure, every belief that you can think of, and really just anything that people put a lot of emotion and energy into. There's pendulums around sports teams. There's pendulums, these thought structures around politics, around being Republican or Democrat, around being certain nationalities, around certain beliefs, like you gotta go to school, you gotta go do this, you gotta go do that. You can believe those things, and there's nothing wrong with them, but is it really your thoughts, and is it really your goals? Now, here's the thing. Many people's goals they think is their goals, when in reality, it's actually the goals of pendulums. It's these goals that we're kind of conditioned to believe, oh, that's just the logical next step. I need to go to school, go to college, get this 9-to-5 job, work my way up the corporate ladder, and be happy. But you see, that linear sequence, the be happy at the end, starts to mess up the whole process because we got it twisted. We need to instead put the happiness on the front end and then see that we can choose to be happy in the present moment with our own beliefs. It's just a common belief that you must, there's even a pendulum around being and how we should go about goals. There's pendulums around saying, if you do X, Y, and Z, you will feel this way, and this way is better than where you are now. So think about it. There's pendulums around everything. Anytime we have thoughts, there's an electromagnetic energy reality to it that we just can't see. And the more we embody it, the more we start to make that materialized. So, knowing that, the question then becomes, how can I think my own thoughts? Because when I think my own thoughts, I create my own way. I create my own path. So that's another important process as well. And of course, everyone's favorite part of reality transurfing that I've shared it with, and at least the one that's changed my life the most, is that when you decrease the importance that you give to anything, you start to more so resonate with what you want. So most of us have a goal. We put it on a pedestal. We say, when I achieve this goal, I will feel X, Y, or Z. We feel this amazing state of euphoria. It's very important that we get this goal. So because it's very important, guess what? We create resistance in the present moment. And when we create resistance, it's less likely that we are resonating with it. Now, the easiest analogy is if you've ever had somebody you were attracted to, and you're like, yo, I'm going to ask that girl out, and ask that guy out, whatever it is. You're like, I'm going to do it. They're very important. I really want it to go well. I'm really attached to the outcome. You then go up to them, or you then start talking to them, and guess what? There's resistance there because you want it to go a certain way. You're trying to, in a way, kind of control it because it's very important. Whereas the suave guy or the suave girl that just doesn't care, guess what? Things happen easier for them because they're less attached and they don't make it that important. So the key to this is to more so see it as natural for you to attain your goals. That was me. It's like creating YouTube videos daily, growing on YouTube. I'm like, that's just naturally who I am because I create daily videos, and a natural side effect of that is growth. It's just a part of the process. And because I have that view, it's much easier for me to go along this because it's just natural. That's the viewpoint. So setting intentions, not being banged around by pendulums, and not making anything more important than it has to be is the most powerful part of the whole process, I believe, of reality transurfing. Now, when it comes to goals, the key to goals is understanding that we must have a goal, first off, that connects to our heart. Now, I've said this many times before, but if we make the money the goal, guess what? The head understands it. The head is totally in sync with it. It's like, yo, I want the money for the ego gratification. I want the money. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I want the money because the money equals the freedom. The money equals the security. The money equals me doing what I want when I want to do it, which is great. It's an emotion as well. You know, it could be an emotion you get from the money. But this is the thing. The heart doesn't understand that translation. The heart doesn't understand that the money is an abstract symbol that then represents something you can get with the money that you have. So instead, take money out of the equation and go straight for the goal itself. But also, so it'd be like, oh, I want to be able to travel the world. Well, instead of thinking about the $50,000 that it may cost you to travel the world for like a year or two, instead of thinking of that, just think of traveling the world for a year or two. Because then you may open up other opportunities. I've explained this before as well, but I've been offered to travel places for free just because I have a YouTube channel if I'll just talk about wherever I am and I'd vlog the experience. So if I was like, oh, it's only if it's money, then it counts, then I would block all those other experiences out of these companies reaching out to me saying, hey, will you come here and do this? Will you come here and do this? So it's just that awareness that we don't have to have it have the way that our mind thinks it has to do. So don't make the goal the money. Make the goal something you're passionate about. I'm actually passionate about traveling. I love traveling. I love making videos. So guess what? If I can travel and make videos at the same time, that's a win-win. That's one of the goals. That's not like, the money equals that. That's a goal itself. And guess what? My heart can connect to that. So what I encourage you to do is to start to look at what your goals really are. If you're like, you know what, I want to live in this kind of house, I want to have this kind of person in my life, I want to do this for a living, whatever it is, take the money out of the equation and instead look for what the actual goal is. I saw an interview, I was reading before I went to bed last night, and I read this thing where Tony Robbins was talking to somebody else. It was like a guy, I think his name is James Altucher. He was talking about this experience he had with Tony Robbins where he was interviewing him. And Tony said that he was talking to this guy once that was like at his seminars or something like that. And he asked them what their goals are. And this guy said he wanted to be a billionaire. He said, okay, so Tony Robbins was like, why do you want to be a billionaire? And this guy was like, oh, I want to be a billionaire because I want to be able to fly a plane, have my own plane and fly it whenever I want. And he said, okay, you think that you need to have $1 billion to do that. In actuality, it would cost you maybe $20,000 or $30,000 a flight or like a trip or something like that, and you do that maybe 8 times a year. So really what you want is like $200,000 or a couple $100,000. You don't actually need $1 billion, which is what, 1,000 million. So think about it like that. So it's like, okay, so then that guy, and basically what they did is he rearranged that guy's goals and realized that what his real goal was, and he thought it was $1 billion of the money. He said your real goal is probably about a $10 million lifestyle for the dream life that you're talking about. But he thought it was $1 billion because he wasn't aware of that. Now, we could take money out of this altogether, because what if that guy, instead of said the money, said my goal is to travel and to, when I want to go on a flight, have my own private jet, or not even a private jet, but just a plane to get from point A to point B. And it may be his own plane as well. It's not like he just gets on a commercial flight. It can be a goal like that, but have it be something that's more straight to the source rather than what the goal can bring you. So it's kind of a different idea, but I think it's very powerful. And this is the main key. Connect it to the feeling. Take out the intellectual ideas. Oh, it has to happen like this and like that. The more I realize I focus on the intellectualism of how everything has to happen and trying to control all the outcomes, the more resistance I create. The more I just go with the flow, the more things happen very powerfully. And think of it like this. The goals that I have, and think of reality transurfing in general. How about this? Reality transurfing in general. What does that mean? Reality transurfing. Well, it means that there's different realities for different, what we call the space of variations, or the infinite parallel realities that exist. And transurfing means we are traveling through that space. If you were to break down the word, I think that in the book it says it means gliding through the space of variations, gliding through parallel realities. Gliding, right? It's much easier. It's much more allowing. It's not like trying to control everything and trying to make everything happen. It's surfing, right? Surfing. Let the wave carry you. In the same way, align with the energy state. Align with how you feel. Trust the process. And as you do all these things happen in a much more powerful way, because you're not giving everything excess meaning, or you're not making it the goal itself. So here's the key: reality transurfing goal setting. Make it the goal for you to be connected to your heart. Make the goal for you to be happy in the present moment. And the more you practice the feeling, the more you will experience the result of what you want. The more you experience what you want in life. This is more about the connection you have to the feeling And as you start to pay attention to the feeling more, it changes everything. And then remember, decrease the level of importance. If you guys want a free guided meditation that will show you exactly how to wire in these ideas of reality transurfing, I've created a free meditation below. It's in the top of the description box. I recommend you listen to it for 21 days in a row. I think it can absolutely transform your life, and it will help you decrease the level of importance you give your goals so that you increase the probability that they actually happen. So it's about that balance of that energy. Now, if you find that you don't have a lot of energy, then what it could be, or you don't even know what your goals are. It could be simply that drive isn't within you, simply because your energy levels may be low. This is something it talks about in the book as well. So think of it like this: your body is an electromagnetic energy. There's actually, energy that goes outside of your body. It's not like just this is your body. There's actually, like they call this an aura. There's an energy field around your body. And if you are thinking a lot of thoughts that are repetitively and negative, it causes blockage in the body. If you're eating a bad diet, it causes blockage within the body and with the energetic field. So instead, start to be more aware of how you feel with what you eat. Are you eating for your body, or are you eating for your mind? Are you eating things that are high stimulation, things that take your body a lot of energy to break down? Because if so, you may be causing blocks within you. So instead, be aware of that and start to eat healthier. Maybe start to eat more nutrient-rich foods, a lot of fruits and veggies. This will help you to increase your energy levels. And when you increase your energy levels, you increase the power of your heart center, you increase the power of your intentions, and you can actually create a much more powerful way. People will literally respond to you differently. The more I've increased my own energy through being aware of what I eat, through just doing what I'm doing, the more I realize that I have a sense of presence when I go places. Not saying this in an egotistical type way, but I can tell that people respond to me much differently than maybe they did 2 years ago. And it's because maybe I'm more grounded in my purpose, I'm more grounded in my passion, but it's just something that people can feel, and guess what? It's now linking up with new opportunities to where things are just coming in my life that are happening very quickly at a very fast rate, and I think they can happen for you too. So start to connect to more so the ideal reality you want to experience. Make it something your heart is connected to, something that you feel a certain emotion from. Dumb it down. Don't make it so intellectual and all this complicated stuff. Just focus on the feeling. Follow that feeling, and as you start to align with it by not making it more important than it has to be, you start to experience amazing things in your life. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you guys like it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so that you can see the daily vids that I do. That's the way YouTube does things now. You may not see every video I do every day unless you hit that bell. As always, see you guys in the next vid. Peace, much love.